Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined for the first time this week on What If by Adam Emmerich. And of course, it could not be What If without the protector of the Seahawks multiverse, and that is Mr. Phil Leidick. Adam, over to you first, bud. How are things going as we get ready for this game against Cleveland? And rumor has it, we're going to see some starters out there on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's super exciting. In the flagship show that Brandon and I recorded just yesterday that will be dropping here shortly. Basically, my take was I get to preseason week 2, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm ready for like dudes. I'm ready for the real dudes. And to get a taste of it coming up here in week 3, Phil, that's super exciting to me. I'm sure you're fired up as well. How you doing, man?
I am fired up. It's a 7:00 at night game, so most of us can see it here in Hawk time. Maybe the East Coast fans or the fans over there in Europe, it's going to be a little bit rougher for you, but looking forward to the time, looking forward to seeing some of our starters, hoping to see what some of that looks like as it comes together. And I want to ask you guys, that's what the show's all about. I want to ask you guys what you're hoping to see in this final preseason matchup at home.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into all of that because obviously it is What If. So Mr. Phil, of course, obviously is going to have a theme, and then we're obviously going to answer it live. And we are here live with y'all. So see folks piling into the room. That's awesome. If you're joining us, please, it really helps out. Like, subscribe to the podcast, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. But really hit the likes, drop the comments. It all helps so much. And it's such an easy and free way to spread the Hawkra. And boys, it's kind of a treat. Of course, the number one thing is no injuries. Please, no injuries. There's always a risk. And I do wonder how long we'll see Geno and company, et cetera, et cetera. But this Browns team is legit. This is a very legitimate Browns defense. They got some real players. I know we're going to talk about some of that and excited for all that. So, Mr. Phil, I'll hand it right back to you. I am sure you have crafted a theme because that's what you do, bud.
If you're ready for the theme, we can do the theme. Clinton, there's nothing you need to let our viewers or listeners know before we jump into the theme?
Good call, right? We discussed things before the show, and then I forget these things, but we were going to talk a little bit about the trade, of course, the news that dropped today. Hey, Mike Jack, he's out, and seemingly look very, very deep defensive back room, right, with our corners. Just didn't look like he had a spot. It wasn't going to be a starter by any means whatsoever. And we're able to turn him from a depth piece into what I think is a pretty exciting rookie, Michael Barrett, right, who comes from Michigan. So McDonald knows him quite well. He's kind of squatty. He doesn't have the biggest athletic scores, doesn't jump out the room. But boys, every time I watched them play football, he stood out. He was just a dude who knows how to flow to the ball. Great tackler, I think quite instinctive. And for maybe some lack of some physical traits, I think the dude knows how to play football. So Phil, what did you think when you were looking at Barrett?
Well, I was excited about getting a linebacker. I'm excited about a guy from Michigan. I remember quite a bit of interest and buzz for a day 3 pick, guy from Michigan, linebacker. I'd forgotten a little bit about some of his athletic scores until I looked those up. And so I was pretty hot and excited when I first saw the idea because I'm thinking Mike Jack, we have almost an embarrassment of riches at cornerback. But after I've had a little time to let it marinate, I'm like, can you have too many good cornerbacks? Is it a bad thing to have a lot of starting cornerbacks? I liked having Mike Jack as an in case, but maybe that means we feel really good about these rookies we took. And it must mean that Mike feels pretty confident, even though his RAS score isn't great. He feels pretty confident in picking up this linebacker as somebody that can learn, be an understudy, maybe do some special teams, maybe be available in case one of our guys we brought in aren't healthy all the time. How about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Phil. I think in terms of talking about who Barrett is as a player, I mean, Clinton, obviously you've gotten into it a little bit more than I have. And when I say a little bit, I mean all the bit. The idea of looking over a 7th round linebacker that was a rookie this year, I didn't do it. So I don't know jack squat about the guy, except for he plays linebacker. And with that said, Phil, the reason I think you nailed it on the head is the idea that maybe they don't feel super confident about the health of both Baker and Dotson. Haven't seen Baker at all to this point. And this is just another insurance plan that they can bring in exchange in basically buying a late draft pick with Mike Jack with this trade. And, also the idea that they must feel pretty confident in James and Pritchett with making this move, because I think Mike Jack is a very valuable depth piece at the corner position, a guy that can be a legit, guy at corner, a starter. And I can see why a team like the Panthers would be looking for a guy like that as they try to churn over their roster. Somebody that's been around winning football, a guy that Canales has got to be a little bit familiar with as well. So it seems like a win-win for everybody. We've got a little extra depth at corner. They must not have felt like that they needed the extra depth at linebacker. Win-win when it's all said and done. So we'll see if we ever see Mr. Barrett on the field. If everything goes according to the plan, no, we won't. And he will collect his checks on the bench and be a professional football player throughout his rookie season. And that would be great.
Yeah. The one thing I want to add about Barrett, though, right, is this was the year that I got way more into college football, and frankly, because of like FanDuel. And even if it's like $5 on a rando game, well, then it's $5 on a rando game. And well, then there you go. I'm going to watch. So maybe it's a little credit to that as a vestibule, but I did watch a lot more this year. And of course, Michigan's on every stinking week. It's just the way it goes. The thing with Barrett is he was really, when the college season was winding down, he was being talked about as a potential, probably not third rounder, very likely fourth rounder, and like somewhere fifth roundish because of what he was doing on the field. Then he goes and has a combine that's, men's at best. And as Phil mentioned, his RAS scores doesn't stand out, just doesn't jump off the screen as an athlete. All right, well then, you know what? Give me the dude who shows up every Saturday and is a really good linebacker. And he wasn't too far away from some of the guys that got drafted right in that middle piece. He just ended up sliding. He was the guy who slid this year. And, a player like Ivan Pace Jr., who EJ from Bootleg Football was pounding the table for 2 years ago, slid and became an unrestricted free agent. We didn't even take him in the 7th round. Vikings pick him up. He was a stud last year. Guys, he's a good NFL linebacker as a UDFA. So those dudes are there, right? So, and now that you've got Tyrese Knight and you bring in Barrett, well, okay, cool. It's a little bit of like doubling your chances with one of those rookies. So I like what you said, Adam. It's like, okay, you get a free scratcher for a depth piece, but I agree. Carolina did good. I think we did good. McDonald gets a guy he's familiar with, and Barrett's probably fired up, which I think is super sweet.
Love it. Probably everybody wins. More than likely, I think it makes sense for the players, makes sense for the teams. Everybody probably wins. I just had that one caveat to throw in there, and but this could be great. 4 years to give him a shot. I would be awesome if it works out. Be awesome.
For sure.
Let's get into the theme. Are you guys ready for the what if theme?
Very much.
Love Everybody on ready?
I was born for this. Let's go.
Okay, so to do this, I have to tell a story this time. 1984, my dad takes his young wife, let's see, they must have been about 32, to the opening game for the Seahawks on Monday Night Football in the Kingdom. We slaughtered a team 33-0. And there's one thing my mom couldn't stop talking about. She goes, I went to this game with your dad. I mean, I'm 7 years old, but she's continued to say this for the rest of time. Every time this team goes on, that's that team. She goes, there's this team running around. They just look like Elmer's glue bottles. And all I could think of is there's these white jerseys with these orange tops, Elmer's glue bottles. And so forever since I've been little, my mom has called the Cleveland Browns the Elmer's glue team because she went to a live game. Should have been a glorious season if Kurt Warner hadn't got hurt. Very big bummer. But anyways, let's get on. So because of glue, because we're facing the glue bottles as far as my mom's concerned, and this, what if this is a game where we can talk about glue? What if it's a glue game? And so we're going to have some glue guys gluing your eyes and glue sticks. All these words, of course, have a lot to do with football. I don't even know who's supposed to go first. Who went first between the two of you guys last time? Anybody know?
I did because Brandon did the first time and Adam was here for the first time last week. I did. So it's actually Adam's turn. Before we do that, though, I do want to recognize our live executive producer, RI911, Frost in the Discord, the 999 super chat live. Dude, thank you so much, Frost. You're the man. Yes, coach in the Discord. And for the folks out there, gettingtheflock.com. You can become a member, and then you can join the Discord where we have lots of fun and kind of just do some trash talking and just keep the hawker alive all the time. So back to the glue though, but we have our Ryan there. He's kind of our live executive glue, so got to give him some love.
Yeah. The glue producer, Ryan himself, keeps us
Absolutely.
sticking together, and you want to do that, and we always appreciate kicking in. So Adam is first, and we're going to start with glue guys. What if there's one thing this defense can do that will better cement your confidence in their ability to perform average or above even for the season? As we watch the starters out there, is there something that can really cement for you that, hey, we might have an average or above defense? Adam?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure that it's going to be Chubb out there. Are we, do
No
we
Chubb.
know that he's no Chubb?
No, Chubb.
So,
He's not ready yet. It's
and is
Ford.
Ford still their backup back?
It's
Yeah.
Ford, yeah.
And I like Ford. I've watched him play a little bit, and I think that he's actually a fairly explosive guy. So whether it's Chubb or Ford or whoever else that they have in there, the number one thing to me about glue guys,
Our defense, though, Adam.
Yeah, I'm getting there. And the idea being that if we can make sure to hold their backs in their running game to 3 to 3.5 yards a carry, like keep it low, keep those yards per carry low, that would give me all the confidence in the world that this defense can go and take things to the next level this year for this team, even if the next level is just delightfully average. Like that would be fantastic. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And it does all start and stop up front. It was the big bugaboo for them last year, obviously ranking near the bottom of the league in run defense. That'd be the number one thing that I'm looking at. Now, how elaborate the Browns get with their scheme, all that stuff, we don't know. It might be fairly vanilla, but even if it is, just keep that yards per carry down, and I'm going to feel awesome, Clinton.
How about you, Clinton? Can this game do it for you? Can it give you the confidence?
It could help. It could get us closer. And, Browns are better defensively than they are offensively. However, this is not a bad offensive team. First of all, they have a pretty good line. Now they got some injuries across the line too, but they got the rookie Zinter's been playing really well. They have the best center we had in a long time with Ethan Posick, he's been a better Brown. He was actually an okay Seahawk. So I love Adam's answer. So, but to not just say the same thing again there, the other piece is Deshaun Watson's going to play. So, okay. Deshaun Watson's shoulder, I don't think has functioned properly now for a couple of years. So what is he? First of all, let's see if he could prove it and test the outside. Good luck if our starters are out there. I don't think he's going to test it too much. So what will he do? Like he's got guys like Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy now came over, Mari Cooper, who's a good wide receiver. But the check downs, the stuff over the middle. Njoku is quite a good tight end, right? He was a little dinged up too, so I wonder if he's going to get time or they're going to put him in bubble wrap. We'll see. But if it's not the stuffing the run and seeing what we could do at the front, like Adam's getting at, well, then how about those very young linebackers, right? So whether that's Dotson, whether that's Tyrese Knight, but them in coverage specifically. And now that we have an extra linebacker there too, what's this battle looking like? Is it Radigan? Is it O'Connell? Can Drake Thomas come out of nowhere? I'm not sure Barrett will play this trade for the guy today. I don't think he'll get snaps Saturday, but who knows? But O'Connell's been a good coverage back, and I think probably our best actually for my money. So can one of those guys stand out and just really do a nice job on the stuff that I think Deshaun Watson's going to do, which is a bunch of stuff over the middle and not really threatening deep because you got Spoon and big play Trey and Tariq. Good luck there, right? So that's what I want to see is the linebackers really in coverage. Can they be very sound over the middle?
I would love that. We'd all love to see them elevate their ability to stop that over the middle stuff. Nice homework, Clinton, on the health of our opponent this week. I didn't see a lot of information out there at the Browns. You're able to dig into that. But let's get to your next question. Looks like we got James in there on the screen. The few games of Michigan, I thought he stood out at times. Didn't realize he was that small. Go Hawks. Yeah.
He's just talking about Barrett there, and I saw him chime in earlier, so I figured I'd put it back up there. And Carr really likes the level of trade too. These little trades that make a big difference. And hey, if Carr is gonna chime in, we're gonna give her some love.
Definitely. Next question. We'll go to the other side of the ball for us. What if our starting O-line, now there's a caveat there. I don't know what all's involved with our starting
Mhm.
O-line. We're still going to miss our stud center in this one. Who knows when Abe, if he'll ever play. So we're not going to have all the pieces put together. There's some gluing still to go on. But what if our starting O-line can be better than a pinata held together by glue and masking tape? What are you hoping to see from the group Saturday, those that are out there? Because maybe it's not a full group of starters, but is there something we'll be able to tell? I'm really wanting to learn some things about them this game, Clinton. Can we?
Yeah, I mean, we can learn a lot, especially if Zadarius Smith is out there and Miles Garrett's out there. I don't know if they're going to play Miles Garrett, but they said they're playing their starters. So
Yeah.
Miles Garrett would be out there. Shelby Harris. This is a very legitimate line that the
Oh,
Browns
yeah.
put out there. They're
Yeah.
very, very, very good. One of the top lines defensively. So what can we learn? It is it can't there's been some preseasons where it just looks like turnstiles and dumpster fires. Now I realize this is going to be our first string or close to it. So specifically, we have not seen a lot of George Fant
Yeah.
really at all because Abe is hurt and it's been like bubble wrap season for George Fant. All right. I like to see Fant, and if our two anchors, if Cross and Fant can kind of just look the part against some really, really good defenders, cool. That'll be a piece of it. There's more to it. There's other battles going on there. But if our two anchors can really just hold up and give, if it's Gino and then later Sam Howell, just give them that enough of a pocket where they could do what they do. We don't have a quarterback that bails. Gino steps up into a clean pocket. Sam Howell will step up into a clean and sometimes not even that clean pocket. He doesn't have that kind of fear. He will step up most often. So if we can get that kind of umbrella going on the edges, super cool. Now let's see if that compression zone dead center also could hold up. But I don't want to take all the answers off the board, so I'll stop there.
Be fantastic to see Fant come out there and do something. He's kind of been the missing man. How about you, Adam? Is there some things we can learn, hopefully, from this about our O-line?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. And, Clinton left me a lot on the board here by talking about the tackles and then the guards and the centers. So like there's a lot of different things to go about here. But one of the things that I think that I would be more interested in seeing is we've heard a lot about Charles Cross and the leap that he's taken this year and in training camp, but we haven't seen him out on the field. And this is going to be an awesome test to see him up against either Garrett or Smith, however they deploy those guys, and to see if he really is going to play in a shutdown, clean type of way. That's one thing I'm looking for. Secondly, I think because of the way that I believe this offense will be ran, being able to hold up in pass protection is going to be a huge deal. And Anthony Bradford seems to be the leader in the clubhouse at right guard, if you're reading the tea leaves. And his strength isn't necessarily pass protection. And again, a good defensive front that they're facing. So I'm watching Anthony Bradford in pass sets and seeing if he can hold his own against a really high quality defensive line. You see Cross do his thing and be, more of an elite left tackle, and Bradford be at least an average pass blocker. I think now we're talking about things that can really parlay into success when it comes to the regular season.
And nobody has much to say about the run game with the O-line. Are we just expected no chance really against this Browns D-line? Can we do something? I mean, Olu's probably not strong enough. I don't know. It would
We
have to
might get
be.
Connor. We might get some Connor, right? So
Oh,
that'll
really?
be interesting. Maybe. I think it's a possibility that we see a little bit of Connor Williams. Maybe not. He's practicing a little bit. And the other side too is like the other meat on the bones is just that thing we brought up last time too. It's like this three-way musical chairs between Haynes and Tomlinson and escaping me for a second there, and Bradford. Sorry for that. And that'll be very interesting too, just to see like, okay, last time Haynes is playing left guard and played pretty darn good for a dude who's never played left guard. And so I give you guys the credit because you were talking about it in the last what if, and I was like, no way. Like Tomlinson is pencil him in. Pen him in. He's not losing that left guard position. Well, maybe not so fast, right? Maybe not so fast. So that whole thing is super interesting. And then Phil, you mentioned like just you were hinting at what about the run game? Look, that whole just the believability that we can do it. Just can we start to get some confidence? Can we start to build some legit momentum that against a good defensive front, we can move people. We are using a lot of pre-snap motion. We are bringing the tight end into interesting positions like fullback quite often, or just these kick out blocks with the tight end. Cool stuff with nice wrinkles. Can we execute against let's look at the first two series, and do we see if it's Canine or others getting a nice, just a nice break with some open field? That'd be really cool to see as well. Difficult though, man, because not many teams did it against the Browns last year, period.
Oh, running against the Browns with some confidence would really up my confidence in what we could do this year. Adam, how about gluing your eyes? What if our eyes are glued to Geno, which I expect all of us will be if number 7 is out there? How do you anticipate he performs if he's out there a series or two? And then does it matter? Does it matter how Geno plays for the series he's out there? And what do you anticipate, Adam?
It matters 35% in terms of the fact that it's a preseason game. So win or lose, or however the production actually ends up being, it really doesn't matter. It all just goes into the bin of history. Who cares? But I do want to see him be efficient and have great timing with especially JSN, because I think that's the piece that they could utilize in the passing game this year that got underutilized or misutilized in Shane Waldron's offense last year. And so if we can see Geno come out hot and really work well with JSN, because we know that him and DK, they've got it figured out. DK is dominant and Geno is dominant throwing the football to him. And then you combine that with what we're looking for with the first question with the offensive line and holding up in pass pro. If he's relatively clean, I think that we are going to see a very efficient, well-timed offense that Geno is the trigger man for. So that's what I'd be looking at. That's what my eyes are glued at when it comes to Geno Smith.
How about you, Clinton? What are we looking for from Geno? And does it matter?
It does. Yes, it matters to me. So I'll answer it that way. It does matter to me. And again, as good as the Browns have a great defensive line, they also have really talented defensive backs. They got Delpit, they got Denzel Ward back there. It's a good room also. So it's a nice challenge just in that way. But more specifically, where does it matter for me and how does it matter? I'll go a click deeper. Last year, Waldron was actually quite good at the scripted stuff. His first plays, right? The first 8, first 10, first 12 plays. Cool. Once that was gone, everything became super difficult. And it was so frustrating, right? It's like, why is it so hard to move the chains? But when the first drive looked so fluid, so good, what, you couldn't think of the next 5, 10 plays when something got adjusted against you, which I think is a major criticism. So I would love to see Geno out there for multiple drives. And if the first drive is good or not, fine. I actually want to look at drive 2 and drive 3. And I want to see what Grubb is doing. And I want to see how Geno is reacting to what Grubb is doing and how quickly is he picking it up. And does it look difficult, or are we getting these, Bobo's wide open on third and 5 again. There goes DK on a slant on 2nd and 6, and he's just wide open. It's easy. It's fluid. If we start to see that, just a big boost for what I think we'll then see against the Broncos in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it could elevate our confidence, but also there's something about your starting quarterback going out there looking good that just kind of makes everybody on the team feel better. The coaches add some confidence. Boy, I can make some calls. The defense knows they can count on their guy. The offensive players want to do their thing for him because it's going to look good if Geno looks good. And so I think it does matter that first time you see him in the uniform with all the players as they've been getting together to do all this training. And now he's out there with you. If he looks good, boy, that really elevates how you feel about the season, I think. Clinton, on your eyes. Now we're going to go in the other direction. I tried to paint a beautiful picture, but let's do this one instead. What if there's one thing that would make you wish your eyes were glued shut? If this happens, you'll be sad that your lids are even able to open, Clinton, if you see this in this game against the Browns.
Okay, there's a couple that would just make you feel like things haven't changed enough yet. All right. So I'll go to the one that I think is would be there's like 3 for me. Geez, where do I want to go with this?
Take 2.
No, I'll leave at least one on the board for you. I'm going to go to, we talked about it earlier. If it is just turnstiles against our offensive line, if we cannot pass protect at all, now it's a good defensive line. We're beating a dead horse there. They just are. But if Gino just has like no time whatsoever, and then if Sam Allen has no time whatsoever, that's going to be really disheartening. It's going to be, come on, really? Like, we think we made improvements. We know we're not fully there yet. We realize we're not fully healthy. It might not be Connor. It probably won't be Connor. It won't be Abe. I get all that. But there still are market improvements, we think, across the offensive line. And if it's just jailbreak season, it's just going to be so deflating. That's the one for me, Phil.
Yeah. And so hopefully our viewers can throw some things in the YouTube comments with the same kind of answer. If this happens, you'll just wish you weren't even watching, or that you couldn't make your eyes open. Adam, I bet you have a few. If this takes place, you'll wish your eyes were just stuck glued shut.
Yeah, I could go down a laundry list of things, but I think when you think about this upcoming season and where this team needs to improve, the offense was more or less fine last year, but it was defensively where it was a complete dumpster fire. And where it was a complete dumpster fire was third down. So in this game, if you see the Seahawks giving up a ton of third downs and can't get off the field, and the time of possession gets skewed, which makes it so the offense has a hard time finding a rhythm, and so on and so forth, and all the trickle down effects that come out of that, that would be something that would be difficult to watch. Now, one of the ways that teams really attacked that on third down against the Seahawks last year is they did the play that a lot of teams do, which, they run 4 verts, sneak a tight end, just over the shallow middle or a back out into the flat, dump it off, and then get that 7-8 yards in third and pass, third and medium, somewhere in that range, and pick up the first down. One of the things I'm looking for is Mike's plan to not give up the little dump downs and end up giving up third downs that you should get off the field on, like 3rd and 7 plus, that Coach Carroll and the previous defense had a difficult time doing later in his tenure. So that'd be a big thing for me.
Yeah, it's 3rd and 9. Let's make sure they don't get a touchdown, guys. That drive me crazy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. Let's go to the final question, and this one can let us think about a few players, in fact, some skill players that are fighting for, the end of the roster. The second half might be a little bit about that, giving us an idea. What if there's one skill player that you think has the best chance to stick with the team if he can have a nice showing? So you can talk about Kenny McIntosh, George Alani. You can go over there with receiver and talk about maybe Derek or Aesop Winston. Maybe you want to talk about, I don't know, Brady Russell or another receiver. Is there a guys like he needs a game to have a good shot at sticking with us, Adam?
I'm going to go to receiver only because it is the position group of the skill positions that interest me the most. And as I look at it, I think that obviously Tyler, JSN, DK, locks, Bobo, lock. We don't know exactly how many receivers a team is going to keep, or this team is going to keep. We haven't seen kind of their philosophy and roster building that way, but it sounds like Derek Young is the backup for Tyler Lockett and would be getting the start at that position, or at least a significant amount of playing time. So that suggests to me that he's probably locked in. So that leaves me down to Chenault and Winston. And Winston, I think, has showed out more as a receiver throughout the preseason, has made some really nice plays. And we've heard Coach Mike say that the stuff in the game counts more than practices and all that. So that's a data point to take into account. Chenault has been good as a possession receiver in breaking tackles and getting a little bit of yak. But where I think he really is going to shine is in the return game. Preseason week 1, that first return he had was electric. Like, that was a great return. So I think if Chenault goes out and just kills it as a returner in this game, I think that probably locks it in, because it gives him a little more versatility over top of somebody like Winston, who I think as a receiver has probably played a little bit better throughout the preseason.
Yeah. And And that could be really interesting. Chenault definitely has a good he's got a pathway into the roster. I think a lot of us would say that. This game's interesting for running backs and tight ends in that they might get to play against some really good skilled defenders and finally show themselves, and could be receivers too. Like we might say we're playing the starters, but DK and Tyler just dress up, go stand out there for one play and then sit down just to like get the feel for it. And then really some of these guys get to go against real cornerbacks and show what they can do. But Clinton, you got a guy you got an eye on. Is like he kind of needs a big game. He's got a good shot if he can do something here in this final little bit.
I do. I'm gonna flip it a little bit, but I also, for my money, I think Laviska is already a lock. I think he's set in stone. I think he's 5 right now. I think he's lock him in as 5. They're keeping at least 5, and I think he's done enough. Skill set, special teams, great blend. He's making tackles on special teams. He's blocking on special teams. He's moving the chains. He's shown it before. I think he's the exact kind of dude that Grubb wants, as that pure gadget guy who can really do some things. So that's my take on him. I'm actually going to go. I know you said skill position, which I know people like skill position. So we're talking offense. I'm just going to call an audible here. From a skill position player, look, Rayshon Jenkins just got hurt. I don't know the severity yet. I'm not sure what the deal is, like how hurt. It just wasn't there. So we got to figure out, well, what's up with Jenkins? Okay, so he's penciled in, right, as our strong safety. All right. Well, then you got Kayvon Wallace. So I think pencil him in. I like him a lot.
He's on the
but
team.
then behind him, you got the comeback story. You got Marquise Blair. So I just, if he goes back out there, he's a missile. He hasn't changed his stripes, right? Since we saw him coming up, we first really liked him. He blows out his knee, the beginning of that I think it was his second year, if I'm recalling correctly, and never kind of got back to himself in many ways. Well, maybe he's back. Maybe he just gets a little door ajar with a small opening. And it's not that Jenkins gets booted, but maybe they find a way that is like, hey, he's going to be out for a few weeks. Marquise is making this team. It's a possibility, and I almost guarantee you he's going to get a lot of time in this game. So if we see another fiery performance by him, it's just one of those things. He could catch the right moment and find himself on this 53. It's not likely, but it's fun to watch.
He's got an interesting shot. Yeah, Adam?
Yeah, so what's the penalty for just being a straight up cheater, Phil? Because that's what Clinton just did there. You completely cheated. You did not pick an offensive skill position in any way, shape, or form. You answered that like a politician. I'll ask you about, the Middle East. You'll be like, well, the economic policy is great back here at home. Like, what kind of crap is that?
He gets no points, but
no points.
No points for Clinton on that one. Adam gets all the points for that question. I don't know what the points are, but you get them all, Adam, for that particular question.
I feel good about that.
Love it. Awesome.
Well, that's all the questions I have. Hopefully in the comments, you guys had some answers to some of those things the guy said, or it sparked your thoughts a little bit on what we have to look forward to. Definitely going to be a fun one, getting to see some starters out there a little bit. I know who you're most excited to see. I'm most excited to see Geno, I guess. Is that probably what we all are, or what do you think?
For me, it's K9. I can't wait to see K9. I love the way he plays. I love everything about his attitude. I'm a huge fan of K9. So Kenneth Walker III for the win for me. Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
If he's out there.
We've got a couple on screen here. Jay Smith is wanting to see K-Mac and AZ Haller as well. That really hey, K-Mac having 3 solid options at RB would be huge for this team. So that's certainly just that. How many running backs
block somebody in pass protection for the first time? That would be cool to see this week.
It would be, because look, when he's running the ball, when he's catching the ball, he looks darn good. Yeah. He's got to complete that trifecta there to help him solidify that, because the beat reporters keep on saying Helani has the edge when it comes to pass protection, and that's a big thing. Again, Travis Homer made a career and still playing in the NFL, right? By being a good pass protector. I think he's with the Bears now, right? With that more exciting team. But to answer the question, I'm going to go back to Haynes. For me, when he was drafted, the opportunity is there, and that's where my eyes will be the entire time. And I think he's going to get quite a lot of snaps, and it'll be very interesting. Where is he? He flip-flopped all week with Bradford. Like Bradford would get some ones, he'd get some ones. One day it's Haynes, one day it's Bradford. So they're not showing their cards there from a coaching perspective. And then last game, like we mentioned, he's out at left guard. He's never played left guard, and he played pretty well. So it's just, to me, that's such an interesting mix, because I think, look, put it this way, whatever happens between those three dudes, we're gonna learn a lot of who is starting against the Broncos. And that's something, guys. I mean, I want the rookie to be in there. I really want it to be Haynes, but it's probably more just like my desire that it's the young guy we took early,
Yeah.
and that's successful versus, somebody else. But we'll see. We'll see how that all shakes. But Phil, is there another for you that you're really trying to keep your eyes on besides Gino?
Well, I'm just impressed, Clinton, with your ability to Clinton every question all of a sudden now. I mean, if I was going to, I said one player, obviously I'm going to go Gino, but if I could say one group, yeah, the entire O-line, which you just about spoke of again, that's the most important thing. Are they going to look cohesive? Are they going to look right? Are they going to look like we can have a presentable offense? So if I could Clinton the answer, then yeah, I would say all of them on the O-line. One player, if K9 plays, I'm down. That'd be cool. I kind of hope he doesn't.
Me too.
I want Gino to play. I want to see what he can do and what it looks like. But what do you got, Clinton?
Well, I do hope that I'm fine with the bubble wrap on K9. I'm 100% fine with that. He's, to me, the drop in talent from him to the next groups of RBs, it's drastic. And it's a position that unfortunately people get dinged up quite a bit. So I'm fine with that. One other dude that I think is kind of been under the radar since something cool happened for him this postseason or this preseason would be Jordan Love, because we keep hearing from practices that Jordan Love is like tons of interceptions, just emerging as the team leader on defense, really gets a grasp of where people need to be, and really is kind of the on-field coach of what McDonald is trying to instrument. And that's interesting. And of course, we didn't see much of him at all. So do we see a series of 2 or 3 of Jordan Love? And could that result in maybe a pick or 2, or just making the Browns? How cool would it be if the Browns look defunct? If they've got Deshaun out there and they've got their talented wide receivers, their talented tight end, a good offensive line, and they can't do bupkis. That would be super sweet. So if Jordan Love could be out there just kind of commanding that, man, that's gonna get the juices flowing for me.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, if we are counting on the Green Bay Packers quarterback to play safety for us in the preseason here, we're in big trouble. But I'm really looking for Julian Love to do all the things that you were talking about. Hey man, if we could trade for Jordan Love to play safety, I guess I'd do it, because you never know, you could get him in at quarterback. So
I deserve all that. The only thing I could say is I live on the East Coast and I'm a little sluggish. So yeah, Julian Love would be the right person to be out there. But wow, would that be something?
I'm excited to see both of them in a Seahawks uniform. I don't know about you. I want to see. I'm stoked to see them both in a Seahawks uniform. Jordan Love, Julian Love. Give us all the love. All we need is love. We want all the love over here.
I deserve the Rotten Tomatoes for that one. It's all good. So, but hey, speaking of look out there, guys, we love doing this. Speaking of love, we love doing this. We are fired up for the season, and yes, it's week 3, and hopefully we get a bit more. It seems like we're gonna get some starters, so we're fired up about that. And then it's game on. Then we heard, hey, it's Bo Nix. Adam, you said it early that this guy was way up there in your quarterback rankings. We're going to see him. We're going to see him week 1 in Seattle with the 12s, and we're just going to get really juiced up for this season. So I know, guys, I am fired up. Mr. Phil, thank you for yet another great theme with the glue. And Adam, my man, I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. And be sure to hit like or subscribe, because this is fun. Come on.
Yes.
Do it.
Hit the likes.
Yeah.
For Jordan Love's sake.
No, click.
Comment. Share.